So if you own one building that's 3 units, it's easy to manage, right? But now you own 4 buildings with 3 units, you have more tenants, and then 5 buildings, 6 buildings. And as you scale up, it's going to get harder and harder to manage. Systems, standard SOPs, standard operating procedures. This will reduce chaos. This will make tasks more efficient. This will automate tasks and just make it better to operate. See, guys, if you implement systems from the beginning, whether you have one single condo or 2 units or a 10-unit building, it'll be a lot easier to manage it as you scale. But if you don't implement systems, take it from me, if you don't implement systems from the beginning, when you get to 20 buildings, 10 buildings from one that you started at, it's a lot harder to introduce these systems, and it's a lot harder to train tenants to get used to these systems. Standard operating procedure. So I'll give you an example of standard operating procedure. Service call. Service call requests, tenant needs work in their building, should always come in by email. Forget text messages, forget phone calls, email. Why? Because email is easily traceable, it's documented, and you're getting used to one avenue. I like to tell myself, my tenants, my team, I tell my property manager all the time, phone calls should be for emergencies only. Because if you're busy working a corporate job or managing other properties or managing other people or managing a team, and you get a phone call for a service call and you say, okay, I'll do this later, you put it down, later comes, you have 4 different fires to put out, you forget. But if you have it all in your emails, then it's easy to manage. That is an example of a standard operating procedure. And this is how you prepare yourself when you scale. This is how you prepare yourself for growth, is by having a system in place from the beginning. So standard operating procedures, guys, when it comes to onboarding new tenants, this is a whole thorough system. You do not skip this process. I'll give you a great example. I was renting a $1,500 condo to somebody, and this guy came in and he put $5,000 in $100 bills on the table, and he smelt of freshly burnt weed, and he was just giving me terrible vibes. He says, yeah, I'll take it right away. And I said, okay, take back the money, fill out this application form, I'll call you back. I looked him up, okay, and he has a criminal record for attempted murder. He stabbed somebody 7 times a year prior. You think I want that? No. Keep your $5,000 and $100 bills. But some landlords, owners, who are more in the owner mindset, will jump at that money and forego the actual procedure, right? So never skip this. Lease renewals is a whole other system and process. So if you have one building, it's a 3-unit building, and you have to renew your leases, and one person is starting September 1st, another person in Quebec, the famous July 1st, right? And another person October 1st. It's 3 different lease renewals to manage. It might seem easy. You have 3 doors. It is easy. It's manageable. When you have 10 doors and you have 10 doors with 10 different dates, and you don't have a proper system or procedure, it's going to be hard to manage. And we all know that if you don't send a renewal notice here within minimum 90 days, you're outside of your delay. And if the tenant refuses your increase because you sent it 29 days instead of 30, and you go to court for that, you lose, right? But if you have multiple doors, it's going to be a lot more difficult to manage. Understand? This is what I like to do. We can't control when they come in, but we could control when they come out. So if I have a vacant unit and he leaves July 1st and I got to do some work and the renovations and construction holidays, next thing you know, it's only going to be ready mid-August and I rent it for September 1st, I write them a lease that expires June 30th of the following year. Forget about the 12 months. Forget about the 12 months. And I tell them, this is how we work. This is our standard operating procedure. If you come in January, I write it to June of that year. And I offer you an option to lease into June the following year. Why? Because it'll drive me a lot less crazy managing 100 units that renew July 1st than managing 100 units that renew here, there. Guaranteed, whether you're organized or not organized, something always slips. So lease renewals, I like to keep them structured. So when you scale, when you grow, keep it all structured, right? Some people don't mind the chaos, right? And you know, if you have 3 units, it's not that bad. If you have 10, it gets a lot more complex.